Chapter 1. The Calm Within the Chaos, written in your audiobook's signature direct, tough love, motivational tone. It runs about 1,000 words, structured for pacing and flow, roughly 8 minutes of spoken narration. Chapter 1. The Calm Within the Chaos. The world won't slow down for you. It won't pause so you can breathe, think, or reset. Every day, something will try to shake you, the noise, the pressure, the endless opinions. But here's the truth most people don't want to face. Calm is a choice. And in this chaotic world, it's your greatest weapon. You can't control the storm, but you can control yourself within it. That's the difference between those who crumble and those who rise. When everything feels urgent, you have to be deliberate. When everyone else is reacting, you have to be centered. When the world screams, you have to whisper, not out of weakness, but mastery. Calm is not softness. It's strength under total control. It's the art of staying unmoved while others lose themselves to emotion. Anyone can shout. Anyone can panic. But the one who stays composed owns the situation. That's the key. You've been taught that reacting is power. That fast emotion equals control. But reaction is slavery to your impulses, your ego, your environment. Calm breaks that chain. It separates you from the noise and gives you clarity when everyone else is blinded by chaos. Think about it. When you're calm, you can see everything clearly. You notice what others miss. You make decisions with precision, not panic. You speak when it matters and stay silent when it doesn't. That's not passivity. That's power. Here's the truth. The most dangerous person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who says nothing, the one who listens, observes, and waits. Because calm people don't play by emotion. They play by awareness. You have to train yourself to become that person. And yes, it's training. Calm isn't a mood. It's a discipline. It's built through repetition, through choosing restraint when you want to explode, through breathing before you speak, through walking away instead of proving a point, through understanding that peace is earned through control, not comfort. Most people never get there. They spend their lives reacting to everything that moves. Someone criticizes them, they defend. Someone ignores them, they chase. Someone offends them, they fight back. They burn their energy trying to control what they can't. You can't afford that anymore. You have to learn the discipline of non-reaction. Because every reaction costs you something. Your energy, your focus, your peace. And peace is the true currency of a calm mind. You want to know why calm people win? Because they don't waste energy on what doesn't matter. They conserve it for what does. You have a choice. Waste your strength on noise, or channel it into control. React to everything or respond to nothing. That's the difference between chaos and composure. Between being moved and being immovable. Let me be clear, calm doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't let your feelings drive the car. You acknowledge them, but you don't obey them. Anger knocks. Fear whispers. Ego demands. But you decide who gets in. That's the power most people never develop, self-command. When you master calm, you stop living in survival mode. You stop being tossed around by circumstances. You start directing your own state. And that's when life begins to change, not because the world got easier, but because you got stronger. But here's where most fail. They wait for calm to appear before they act. They say, once things settle down, I'll focus. Once I feel ready, I'll be disciplined. No, that's backwards. You don't wait for calm, you create it. Calm is built in motion, not in rest. You build it in traffic, in arguments, in failure. When everything in you wants to snap, that's the training ground. Every chaotic moment is a test, an invitation to practice control. Each time you hold your center, you grow stronger. Each time you choose restraint over reaction, you expand your power. Each time you breathe through the storm, you teach your nervous system that peace is possible even here. That's mastery. Here's a truth to burn into your mind. The calmer you are, the more control you have. Over your emotions, over your words, over your life. You can't fake that. Calm is built through repetition, through daily decisions, through thousands of moments where you chose control instead of chaos. That's how warriors are made, not through rage, but through restraint. And don't get it twisted, calm isn't passive. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right thing at the right time. It's strategic stillness. It's knowing when to strike and when to stay silent. That's how you win in a loud world, not by shouting louder, but by thinking sharper. So here's what you do, starting today. 1. Pause before you react. That 1 second of silence between emotion and action is where calm lives. Guard it. 2. Control your breathing. It's impossible to stay angry if you slow your breath. The body listens to the breath. The mind follows. 3. Detach from what you can't control. People's opinions, delays, rejections, let them go. They're outside your power. 4. Respond with intention, not impulse. Every response should serve your peace or your progress. If it doesn't, stay silent. 5. Make calm your identity. Don't try to be calm. Be the calm one. Let it define how you move, how you speak, how you think. This isn't just a habit. It's who you become. When you master calm, you stop living like a victim of circumstances. You stop letting life happen to you and start happening to life. And that's where true freedom begins, when your inner state no longer depends on the outer world. Remember this. The storm isn't your enemy. Your reaction is. So train yourself. Build the strength to stay unmoved, no matter what's happening around you. Because in a chaotic world, calm isn't weakness, it's domination. That's the foundation of this entire audiobook. That's where all power begins, with stillness. You've learned to find calm in the chaos. Now, let's go deeper. Chapter 2. Emotional detachment is strength. Most people think strength means holding on. To people, to opinions, to outcomes. But real strength, the kind that brings peace, comes from letting go. Emotional detachment isn't coldness. It's clarity. It's choosing not to bleed for things that don't deserve your energy. It's refusing to let every disappointment or rejection define you. Because here's the truth. The more attached you are, the easier you are to control. When you need their approval, they own your peace. When you need their validation, they dictate your worth. When you need the world to understand you, you'll never be free. That's why detachment is strength. Because when you no longer need anything outside yourself to feel stable, you become untouchable. You have to learn to care without clinging, to love without losing yourself, to give your best and still walk away when it's no longer aligned. That's not heartless. That's discipline. That's what it means to operate from strength, not emotion. See, emotion is powerful, but uncontrolled emotion is a weapon turned inward. It makes you react when you should observe. It makes you chase when you should pause. It makes you overthink when you should move on. You can't build peace in a mind that's always triggered. You can't lead a life of purpose if you're a slave to every feeling that comes and goes. You have to rise above it. You have to master the art of not taking things personally. People will misunderstand you. Let them. They'll criticize, project, and judge. Let them. Because your job is not to fix their perception. Your job is to protect your peace. That's the key. You don't need their permission to be calm. You don't need their understanding to stay focused. You don't even need closure, you need control. And control comes from emotional distance, not from walls, but from wisdom. Detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop allowing feelings to dictate your life. You stop overvaluing temporary emotions. Because emotions are like weather. They change, they pass, they lie. And if you build your peace on their fluctuations, you'll never be stable. So here's your challenge. Next time something triggers you, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this matter in a week, a month, a year? If not, you walk away. That's how you start taking your power back, one small decision at a time. Emotional detachment is not the absence of care, it's the presence of power. It's the realization that you can feel deeply and still choose wisely. That you can love and still let go. That you can experience pain without becoming it. You have to stop believing that control means suppression. Control means direction. It means channeling your emotions into purpose, not panic. When you detach, you stop identifying with the chaos. You stop saying, I am angry. Instead, you say, anger is present. One statement traps you. The other frees you. You become the observer instead of the prisoner. That's the shift. That's emotional mastery. You see, the calm mind isn't emotionless. It's emotionally intelligent. It doesn't chase highs or avoid lows. It moves through both with balance. Because detachment gives you perspective, the ability to zoom out and see the bigger picture. Most people can't do that. They get lost in every wave. But you're learning to stand on the shore. You're learning that peace doesn't mean no waves. It means you don't drown in them. That's what this chapter is about, staying above the emotional current, no matter how strong it pulls. Let's make it practical. 1. Detach from people, not compassionately, but consciously. You can love people deeply and still not let their chaos become your chaos. Set emotional boundaries. Protect your energy. 2. Detach from outcomes. Do your best, then let go. The result is never fully in your control. Your peace depends on your process, not the prize. 3. Detach from identity labels. Stop saying, "I'm just an anxious person," or "I can't handle pressure." You are not your emotions. You are the one observing them. 4. Detach from external validation. Approval is addictive. It feels good, but it weakens you. Every time you seek validation, you hand over your self-worth. Stop. Approve yourself. 5. Detach from perfection. Perfectionism is just disguised fear. Aim for progress, not flawlessness. The calm mind values growth, not image. That's how you build resilience, not by avoiding emotions, but by mastering your relationship with them. Here's the paradox. The more you detach, the deeper your peace. The less you cling, the more you attract what aligns. Because when you stop chasing, you create space, and in that space, the right things flow naturally. Attachment creates desperation. Detachment creates magnetism. When you no longer need it, you're finally ready to receive it. That's emotional freedom, when your happiness is self-sourced, not borrowed. When nothing outside of you can take away what's built within you. People will call you cold. Let them. They called Buddha detached. They called Stoics emotionless. But they were the calmest, clearest, most powerful minds to ever walk this earth. It's not coldness. It's composure. It's the ability to stand in a burning world and remain unburned. To feel everything and still stay centered. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you unshakable. Because the world feeds on reaction. It thrives on drama, division, outrage. And when you refuse to participate, you rise above it all. You become what everyone else is chasing: peace. Emotional detachment is not the end of feeling. It's the beginning of freedom. It's the moment you realize you are not what happens to you. You are the calm that watches it happen. You have a choice. Stay reactive or become reflective. Be controlled or take control. Seek chaos or build calm. That's the difference between living emotionally and living intentionally. That's the discipline of detachment, the root of all inner strength. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to convince anyone. You just need to master yourself. Because once you do, the noise fades. The opinions fade. The fear fades. And what remains is power. You've learned how to detach emotionally. You've learned that strength isn't about holding tighter, but letting go smarter. Now, it's time to build on that foundation. Because once you've detached from emotion, the next test begins, mastering your responses to the world. Chapter 3. The Power of Not Reacting. Everyone wants control. Few understand what it truly means. Because real control isn't about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself. And that mastery begins with one of the hardest skills in the world, not reacting. Anyone can react. It takes no discipline to lash out, complain, or argue. That's the default mode of the undisciplined mind, impulsive, emotional, weak. But the one who learns to stay still when provoked? That's the person with real power. Because silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. When you react, you give your energy away. You give your peace away. You give control of your inner state to someone else, and they don't even have to ask for it. Every time you let anger pull you, you lose clarity. Every time you let emotion speak for you, you lose credibility. Every time you respond too quickly, you weaken your position. So, here's the truth. Your reaction is your responsibility. No matter what they said. No matter what they did. No matter how unfair it was. Your calm response is what defines your strength, not your ability to fight back. Understand this. The world is full of people addicted to reaction. They argue online. They explode in traffic. They fight to be right instead of being at peace. And every time, They lose a little bit of their inner control. But you're different. You're learning to step back. You're learning that not everything deserves your voice. You're learning that the loudest one in the room usually has the least power. That's the secret. Not reacting doesn't make you weak, it makes you unpredictable. It keeps your enemies guessing. It protects your energy and your focus. You have to understand the battlefield you're on. In a chaotic world, your reaction is currency. Everyone wants to buy your attention, your outrage, your emotion. But the calm mind doesn't sell cheap. You choose when to engage and when to walk away. You choose what deserves your energy and what deserves your silence. That's not apathy. That's control. It's not about ignoring life. It's about prioritizing peace. Because once you stop reacting, you start directing. Here's the psychology behind it. When you react instantly, you're operating from your lower brain, survival mode. That's the part wired for fear, ego, and impulse. But when you pause, even for a second, you shift control back to your higher mind. That's where awareness lives. That's where strength is built. So, the next time someone tests you, remember this. You're not required to respond immediately. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to breathe. You're allowed to choose silence. That's not avoidance, that's evolution. Not reacting doesn't mean you suppress your emotions. It means you observe them. You feel anger rising, but you don't become it. You feel fear, but you don't feed it. You feel insulted, but you don't give them the satisfaction of seeing it. You become the observer, not the reactor. And that's when you regain control of your life. Because your reaction is never about them, it's always about you. How you respond reveals what you've mastered and what still owns you. If they can trigger you, they still control you. That's the test. And every day, life will keep sending you people and situations to expose what you haven't mastered yet. So when something irritates you, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What part of me still reacts to this?" That's where your growth is hiding. You have to train your nervous system to stay neutral under pressure. That's what calm really means. It's not pretending you're fine, it's being fine even when things fall apart. And you build that through repetition. Every time someone disrespects you and you don't respond emotionally, that's training. Every time life throws a delay and you stay patient, that's training. Every time chaos hits and you stay composed, that's training. You're conditioning yourself for peace. You're teaching your mind that silence is not weakness, it's precision. Here's what you must understand. Reaction is noise. Silence is signal. The undisciplined react to everything. The calm pick their moments. They know when to speak, when to act, and when to wait. That's how you gain leverage. When you stop reacting, you stop bleeding energy. You stop making emotional decisions. You start making powerful ones. Your peace becomes your advantage. Your restraint becomes your weapon. That's how warriors think. Because sometimes the most powerful move you can make is no move at all. Let's make this practical. Here's how you master the discipline of not reacting. 1. Pause before responding. When emotion hits, stop. Breathe. Give yourself at least 5 seconds. In that silence, your wisdom wakes up. 2. Ask what outcome you want. Don't respond to express emotion. Respond to create results. 3. Separate fact from story. Don't reek. Now you can serve it. You redirect it. You use it to build, not battle. That's the shift from emotional chaos to emotional control. From noise to power. Because the one who can hold silence when others crumble, that's the one who wins in the end. The power of not reacting is the power of self-command. It's saying, I don't need to prove I'm right, I just need to remain at peace. It's saying, I refuse to let your chaos become my chaos. That's not arrogance. That's mastery. That's the calm power most people will never understand because they're too busy reacting to everything that moves. But you're not most people. You're learning to stay unmoved, no matter how loud the world gets. That's your edge. That's your peace. That's your power. You've learned the discipline of silence and the art of self-restraint. You've learned that control isn't about dominance, it's about direction. Now, it's time to take that control inward. Because external calm means nothing if your mind is still at war with itself. Chapter 4. Mastering the Inner Dialogue. You can silence the world. You can walk away from noise, from conflict, from chaos. But there's one voice you can't walk away from: your own. And that's where the real battle begins. Because calm doesn't start with silence around you. It starts with silence within you. If your thoughts are noisy, your life will be too. If your inner dialogue is chaotic, peace will always feel out of reach. The truth is simple. You can't have an unbothered life with a bothered mind. The voice inside your head runs your life. It tells you who you are, what you can do, what's possible, what's not. It can be your greatest ally or your biggest enemy. Every time you doubt yourself, criticize yourself, or relive past mistakes, that's not the world attacking you. That's your own voice working against you. So if you ever feel like you're at war with life, stop and listen. You might just be at war with your own thoughts. That's why mastering your inner dialogue is non-negotiable. You can't stay calm if your mind is constantly feeding you chaos. Here's the truth. Your mind repeats what it's been taught. If you've lived years in fear, insecurity, or guilt, that script becomes automatic. You start believing the voice in your head is you. But it's not. That voice is conditioning. It's repetition. It's programming. And the good news is you can rewrite it. Because every thought is a suggestion, not a command. You decide which ones to obey. That's the power of awareness. When you start paying attention to your self-talk, you'll realize how much damage your own thoughts have done. You talk yourself out of peace. You talk yourself into overthinking. You convince yourself that worry equals control, but it doesn't. Worry is just imagination used against you. You have to flip that script. You have to become the voice of calm inside your own head. Because if your inner dialogue isn't disciplined, no amount of meditation, silence, or solitude will save you. You'll sit in quiet rooms and still feel chaos inside. That's why this chapter matters, because your mind needs leadership. The calm mind doesn't suppress thoughts. It directs them. It questions them. It replaces noise with command. Every time your mind says, "I can't handle this," you say, "Yes, I can, I've handled worse." When your mind says, "They're judging me," you say, "Their opinion doesn't define me." When your mind says, "What if I fail?" you answer, "Then I'll learn and I'll come back stronger." That's self-control in action. That's emotional discipline. That's inner calm built word by word. You have to talk to yourself like someone you're responsible for leading. Because you are. When your inner voice becomes calm, your outer world starts to match it. You move slower. You speak clearer. You stop rushing through life trying to fix everything at once. You realize most of your stress never came from events. It came from your interpretation of them. It wasn't the problem that hurt you. It was your story about it. That's what you have to rewrite. Here's the truth. Your mind is not your enemy. It's just untrained. Left unchecked, it runs wild. It feeds on doubt, drama, and repetition. But once you take control, it becomes your greatest weapon. Because calm people aren't calm by default, they're calm by design. They've learned to interrupt negative thoughts before they spiral. They've learned to reframe pain into power. They've learned to command their mind like a general commands an army. You can do the same. Let's make it practical. Here's how to start mastering your inner dialogue today. 1. Observe without judgment. Throughout your day, listen to your self-talk. Don't fight it. Just notice it. Awareness breaks the cycle of automatic thinking. 2. Challenge your thoughts. When a negative belief appears, question it. Is this true? Or is this just fear talking? 3. Replace emotional noise with clarity. Instead of "this is too much," say, "I can handle this one step at a time." 4. Speak power into your routine. Every morning, say something grounding. I'm in control of my reactions. I'm calm. I move with purpose. Words reprogram the nervous system. Use them wisely. 5. Starve negative inputs. Stop feeding your mind with chaos, gossip, constant news, toxic scrolling. Protect your focus like it's oxygen. That's how you train the mind to serve you, not sabotage you. Understand this. You can't control every thought that appears, but you can control which ones you entertain. The thoughts you feed become your emotions. Your emotions shape your actions, and your actions build your life. So yes, calm starts as a thought. It's a decision, repeated daily, until it becomes your default state. You have to remind yourself, I'm not my thoughts. I'm the awareness behind them. That single realization can change your entire life. Because once you stop believing every thought that enters your head, you stop being ruled by emotion. You stop being a slave to old fears. You become the architect of your inner world. That's the power of mastery, internal authority. Here's something most people never realize. Mental chaos is contagious. Spend enough time around negative voices, yours or others, and you'll start believing them. That's why protecting your mind is a lifelong discipline. Every time you choose calm over panic, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching it that peace is safe, not boring. That silence is powerful, not empty. And the more you practice it, the quieter your inner world becomes. Until one day, you realize the voice that once attacked you now supports you. It's your ally, not your enemy. And that's when life starts to feel light again. But remember this. Mastering your inner dialogue isn't a one-time fix. It's a daily war, and the battlefield is your attention. So protect it. Train it. Feed it peace. Because a calm voice inside can't coexist with constant chaos outside. And when your inner voice becomes still, your entire world starts to follow its lead. That's real freedom, not needing the world to be quiet for you to feel peace. That's the essence of this audiobook. That's the core of calm power, self-command through self-talk. You've learned to master your inner voice. You've learned that calm begins inside, with the words you repeat to yourself every day. Now it's time to learn how to live that calm out loud, through your actions, your habits, and your presence. Because calm isn't something you think. It's something you embody. Chapter 5. The Discipline of Stillness. The world glorifies movement. Everyone is rushing somewhere, chasing something. Constant motion has become a badge of honor. But here's the paradox. The more people move, the less they progress. The louder they get, the less they hear. The busier they are, the less they become. Because true power doesn't come from speed. It comes from stillness. Stillness is not inaction, it's control. It's the ability to sit in silence and not run from yourself. It's the discipline of doing nothing when doing something would make it worse. That's strength most people will never understand. You see, stillness is the calm beneath the surface. It's the quiet mind in a noisy world. And it's built, not found. It's easy to stay still when life is peaceful. But when everything's shaking, when fear rises, when plans fail, when people disappoint you, that's when stillness becomes a weapon. Because anyone can move fast. Only the disciplined can stay still and wait. That's the key. Stillness doesn't mean apathy. It means composure. It means knowing that not every battle needs to be fought. Not every fire needs to be put out. Not every problem needs an immediate answer. Most chaos in your life comes from overreaction, from trying to fix, prove, or control what doesn't require your interference. But when you stay still, you see clearly. You give the storm time to pass. You let emotion settle so logic can return. That's wisdom in action. And wisdom always outlasts reaction. You have to train yourself to sit with discomfort, to breathe through uncertainty instead of fighting it. Because stillness isn't a gift, it's a grind. It's built one pause at a time. Every time you resist the urge to respond immediately, that's stillness. Every time you delay your anger until your mind clears, that's stillness. Every time you sit quietly and let your thoughts settle before deciding, that's stillness. It's a discipline, not a mood. It's something you practice even when you don't feel like it. People will confuse your stillness for indifference. They'll say you don't care. But that's not true. You just understand that emotion isn't strategy. Stillness is how you gain control of yourself before the world can control you. It's how you stop reacting from weakness and start responding from power. When you're still, you see what's real. You see people for who they are. You see situations for what they truly mean. You stop chasing illusions and start operating from awareness. And that awareness, that sharpness, is what separates the masters from the masses. Most people fear stillness because they're terrified of their own thoughts. They drown it with noise, distraction, and constant scrolling. They call it staying busy, but what they're really doing is running from themselves. Don't run. Sit. Listen. Watch your own mind. Because stillness reveals the truth about you, your fears, your motives. It strips away the illusions that noise hides. It forces you to face what's real. And once you do, you gain a kind of power that can't be taken, the power of clarity. Here's the reality. You don't need more information. You don't need more stimulation. You need more silence. Because in silence, your intuition speaks. Your perspective sharpens. Your priorities become obvious. That's why the most powerful people in the world spend time alone, not because they're antisocial, but because they know solitude is strategy. They understand that you can't hear your own wisdom when you're constantly surrounded by noise. You can't grow when you're always distracted. You can't be calm when you're always consuming. Stillness isn't laziness. It's leadership over your own energy, over your own time, over your own mind. Let's make it practical. Here's how to build the discipline of stillness in your life. 1. Start your mornings in silence. No phone, no noise, no rush. Just 5 minutes of breathing, thinking, or observing. It sets the tone for your entire day. 2. Pause before every major decision. Emotion loves speed. Wisdom loves space. Take time. If it's truly right, it'll still be right tomorrow. 3. Create quiet zones. Designate parts of your day or places in your home where no noise, scrolling, or talking is allowed. Protect that space fiercely. 4. Practice strategic withdrawal. Step away when chaos peaks. Walk, breathe, go silent. That's not weakness, it's power management. 5. Learn to listen deeply. Don't just hear, absorb. Listen without planning your reply. Stillness isn't only in action, it's in attention. That's how you cultivate internal control in an external storm. Remember this. Stillness is not the absence of action. It's the presence of mastery. It's knowing you can move, but choosing not to until it's time. Because when you act from stillness, your actions carry weight. They're deliberate. They're effective. The impulsive move first and fail first. The disciplined wait and strike when it counts. That's what stillness gives you. The patience to wait, the clarity to see, and the precision to act. That's how you win quietly. That's how you rise without noise. So stop equating stillness with stagnation. It's not a lack of progress, it's preparation for it. Stillness builds awareness. Awareness builds clarity. And clarity builds the right action. That's how you move with purpose instead of panic. You have a choice. Keep chasing noise or master the pause. Because in the stillness, you discover who you are. And once you know that, no chaos can shake you again. That's calm. That's power. You've learned the discipline of stillness, the power of doing less to gain more control. You've learned that peace isn't passive, it's precise. Now it's time to apply that same discipline to the way you handle others. Because true calm isn't tested when you're alone, it's tested when people push your boundaries. Chapter 6. The Strength of Boundaries. Calm isn't just about silence. It's about structure. It's about protecting your energy like it's gold, because it is. Without boundaries, you'll drown in other people's chaos. You'll say yes when you mean no. You'll fix what's not yours to fix. You'll confuse being kind with being available. And when you do that, your peace dies quietly, piece by piece. Here's the truth. If you want to stay unmoved in a chaotic world, you must master one thing: the art of limits. Because calm is not found in freedom without direction. It's built through discipline and protection. It's built by saying, "This is where I end and you begin." Boundaries are not walls. They are gates, gates you control. You decide who enters, who stays, and who leaves. That's power. Most people don't lack peace. They lack boundaries. They keep trying to manage their emotions while letting anyone invade their space. They try to stay calm while tolerating constant disrespect. They try to meditate their way through toxic people. That's not calm, that's self-betrayal. You can't stay centered when you're surrounded by chaos you continue to allow. You can't stay strong when you keep saying yes to things that drain you. You can't grow when you refuse to draw the line. The truth is simple. Peace requires protection. You have to stop apologizing for enforcing limits. You have to stop feeling guilty for saying no. You have to stop explaining your worth to people who already know it but choose to ignore it. Because boundaries are not about punishment, they're about respect. They tell others how to treat you. But more importantly, they remind you how to treat yourself. Every time you hold your line, you send a message to your mind. I matter. My peace matters. That's how self-respect is built, one boundary at a time. Here's what most people get wrong. They think setting boundaries will make them lose relationships. The truth? It only removes the wrong ones. The right people won't be offended by your boundaries, they'll be inspired by them. The wrong people will be exposed by them. And that's what boundaries do best, they reveal who's real. That's the key. Boundaries are emotional armor. Without them, every opinion pierces you. Every comment shakes you. Every rejection cuts too deep. With them, you become unshakable. You hear, but you don't absorb. You see, but you don't react. You respond from strength, not sensitivity. That's how calm becomes your default state, not your temporary mood. Let's make it practical. Here's how you start strengthening your boundaries. 1. Define your non-negotiables. What behaviors, words, or situations will you no longer accept from others or yourself? Write them down. When you're clear, others can't manipulate your uncertainty. 2. Say no without decoration. Stop explaining your no. You don't owe an essay to anyone. No is a full sentence. Respect yourself enough to use it. 3. Limit access, not kindness. You can still care for people from a distance. Boundaries don't make you cold, they make you clear. 4. Don't engage in emotional bait. Some people feed on your reactions. Starve them with silence. Your calm is your counterattack. 5. Enforce consequences. A boundary without consequence is just a wish. Mean what you say and back it up. That's how people learn your peace isn't negotiable. The hardest part? Maintaining your boundary when guilt kicks in. Because guilt will whisper that you're being selfish, that you're being too harsh, that you're going to lose people. But remember this. You're not losing people, you're losing pressure. You're not being harsh, you're being honest. You're not selfish, you're self-respecting. Every boundary you build brings you closer to freedom. You have to understand, peace doesn't exist without conflict. Because every boundary will test someone. And that's okay. Let them be uncomfortable. Your job isn't to make others feel good. Your job is to stay true to your values. When you stop over-explaining, over-pleasing, and over-apologizing, you finally create space for your real life to begin. That's when calm turns into confidence. Don't confuse chaos with connection. Just because someone constantly needs you doesn't mean they value you. Sometimes, people feed off your stability because they don't have their own. And if you let them, they'll drain you until your peace is gone. Protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. Once your energy is gone, so is your ability to think, focus, and build. That's why boundaries aren't selfish. They're survival. When you live without boundaries, you live in reaction. When you build them, you live in response. One is chaos, the other is control. One drains you, the other defines you. Every time you say no to something that doesn't align, you're saying yes to your purpose. Every time you walk away from noise, you walk closer to peace. Every time you protect your space, you reclaim your power. That's the path to emotional mastery, not control over others, but control over access. You don't need to explain your boundaries to people who don't respect them. Just enforce them. Quietly. Consistently. Firmly. That's how calm becomes power, when it's protected by clarity. Because peace without protection is just temporary comfort. It feels good for a moment, but it fades. Boundaries make it last. So remember this. Boundaries are not rejection. They are direction. They teach people how to meet you, not where you used to be, but where you've grown. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. You only need your conviction. Protect your peace. Guard your focus. Value your space. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. You can't be calm in chaos you continue to entertain. You can't be powerful if you keep giving power away. You have a choice. And every no you say to what drains you is a yes to what builds you. That's the strength of boundaries. That's real power. You've learned how to protect your peace. You've learned how to say no without guilt, to guard your space with courage, and to lead yourself with clarity. Now it's time to go deeper, to master the one thing that makes all calm possible: emotional detachment. Because to stay unmoved, you can't just control your environment, you must control your attachment to it.